welcome. And this is a case of, can you spot the difference? Three of a kind, but different. Three of a kind, we know why we all wanted to meet on this virtual stage this evening. We know what we feel about poetry and music and keeping the art going. But what's the difference? Well, my name isn't Dave. That's one difference for you. Just so you know, my name's Beth. And I'm a singer-songwriter for those that don't know me. And really, this is about us just having something nice to come together with this evening. We've been meaning to do something together for a while. So it's been a case of, I've worked with David, this has been fab, I've worked with Dave, but now the two Daves come together to, you know, making a nice poetry sandwich this evening. So we'll be having music, poetry, and then music again. And quite often it's the other way around. So you have a little bit of music in between two poetry sets. So you're getting it the other way around this evening. And we wanted to do Zoom to make it nice and cozy so I can see your lovely faces and know that you're there, and it just feels really lovely. And feel free to chat with us in the chat box as well. So there's lots of birthdays. I'm not going to play happy birthday, and I'm not going to shout out all the names. We had 3 birthdays yesterday. You know who you are. Family members' birthdays, big birthdays coming up. This is another reason. It's spring. What more reason do we need than to come together and do this lovely thing together? There are my doppelganger. Her birthday is on Monday, and I'm really looking forward to being able to sing with her again, and with Tom with the My Girl Friday. And until we can do that, then we're just sitting here in our houses doing this. All new material tonight. Please don't feel obliged. Please absolutely don't feel obliged. It's a charity gig or whatever. This is a free event for you. However, I want to raise awareness for Mind, and I've written a song which you'll hear at the end that's on video and available to you. And it's just about, really, Mind is important to me. Mental health and well-being is important to me personally, but also professionally. So I work with mental health and well-being, and I know that, okay, so as artists, we've lost a lot of our livelihood through this, but actually we can also lose ourselves in our art. And I found that the music has just kept me going. So I really want to give that to you this evening. A little bit of music. You're getting all new songs. One of them nobody has heard except for my kids. So you're getting lots of lovely new songs this evening. And it's really about how lucky we are to have the arts. I'm rambling. I feel like I'm just going to sing now. The first song, actually, saying it's written all new material by me. I stole the tune. You'll recognise the tune, but at least I'm honest. This is called Time Travel Car. Oh Lord, won't you make me a time travel car? I'd go back to when I wore much smaller bras. I'd wear a bikini, I wouldn't have scars. So Lord, won't you make me a time travel car? Oh Lord, won't you find me a password I know? I have way too many, it makes me feel slow. Locked out of my website, my healthcare, my dough. So Lord, won't you find me a password I know? Oh Lord, won't you buy me a magical slave? They sold out on eBay and Amazon, babe. I'd put him to good use, Lord, nothing depraved. So Lord, won't you buy me a magical slave? Oh Lord, won't you grant me permission to swear my children might learn that the world is not fair. The F word, my sweet Lord, would make me feel free, while homeschooling, working, and making it's here. Oh Lord, won't you find me a man who has hair? I mean on his head, Lord, not shiny and bare. He's tall, dark, and handsome, well, breathing, that's fair. So Lord, won't you find me a man who has hair? Oh Lord, won't you buy me some drug-dealing friends? The ones who drive Beamers or Mercedes-Benz. They just bring me hugs, Lord, no drug to offend. So Lord, won't you find me some drug-dealing friends? Thank you. You'll probably recognise that tune. Thank you for the loan of that tune. Let's hope they don't mind. So another unaccompanied song before I go over to the ivories there. This is one where you can stomp your feet, click your fingers, clap your hands. You know, it doesn't matter if you're out of time. I can't hear you. But just enjoy, you know, if you feel your feet need a going over or whatever. So, this is called Same Old Track. Climb on board, climb on board, climb on board, sweet listener. We'll take you on, take you on, take you on a ride you know. Hold on tight, won't take by. Clap your fingers to the beat, short and sweet, won't go far. Takes you back to where you are. Working on it, working on it, working on it every day. Has to be there, has to be another way. Working on, working on, working on it every day. Waiting for the check to change. Waking up, waking up, waking up the same way. Waking up, waking up, waking up to another day. Groundhog, groundhog, groundhog a day. Waking up, waking up, waking up the same day. Has to be, has to be, has to be another way. Has to be, has to be, has to be another way. Waking up, waking up, waking up the same way. Waking up, waking up, working at it every day. Keep on going, keep on going, keep on going this way. One day, one day, one day it's gonna change. Climb on board, climb on board, climb on board, sweet listener. I'll take you on, take you on, take you on a ride you know. Hold on tight, stomp your feet, click your fingers to the beat. It's short and sweet, won't go far, takes you back to where you are. So it's quite, I'm seeing all these chats, people saying hello, and that's lovely, and I'm going to say hello to you all in a minute, and it's very distracting, but it's marvellous too. I'm going to move over to the piano keyboard, and I'd have nothing but creaky chairs. Oh, I like that one. Someone said she likes that one. That's really lovely to hear. I'm really glad you like that one. I'm going to go over to the piano. I have nothing but creaky chairs. My piano stool, every time I record something you hear as I go over. So I'm on this one, hoping it's a lesser evil. I might just move this so you can see. Oh, look, I'm on a real piano. So you can see that a little bit. And then you're going to get the side angle view. This one I'm doing because David asked me to play it. Mr. David C. Johnson asked me to play it, I presume because he likes it. I wrote this a few months ago, and it's called Leave the Light On. It's slightly more serious than the other songs I've just done, perhaps. So I hope you enjoy it. with weakness. It's not when a heart becomes broken. It's never for good. Though you crave a connection, just stay in your zone. 'Cause the light must stay on. Leave the light on. Leave the light on. Leave the light on. Leave the light on. So don't take advantage of kindness and good, as your luck will run out. Well, it really should. For the light needs protecting, not dampening down. Hear my song, my song. Move on. Leave the light on. Leave the light on. Thank you. And you may, now I need to see if I can unmute you all. You may unmute yourselves and say hello. I can hear hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. There we go. I found the button now. Oh, this was a crazy idea, wasn't it? Hosting and performing. Yeah, that was a crazy idea.
They wrapped the other one in
So nice to see you. And now I would be honoured to invite onto the stage Mr. David C. Johnson, who is going to inspire you with some witty words. He's rather marvellous, and now I'm going to make him blush. So please welcome onto the virtual stage, and if you're still unmuted, a round of applause, please, for Mr. David C. Johnson.
Great. Right, I shall probably strike you all mute anyway. But...
Yeah, I've muted everyone except for myself, and now you'll need to unmute yourself.
Right. Well, good evening, everybody. I am the poetic Nutella spread in this. Oh, am I not coming on?
No,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, but can you see me? Am I?
Yes.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I am the poetic Nutella spread in this music sandwich, and I'm delighted to be performing with Beth and Dave tonight. I'm going to do some poems that I wrote years ago, a few that I wrote a few years ago, and one or two new ones. Now, there ought really to be lots of new ones, because with all this lockdown and not being able to go anywhere, I should have been able to write an awful lot. But despite all that time available, nothing has really changed from the basic fact that it's much easier not to write than to write. I mean, the intention is there, perhaps an idea, but I'll just check my messages and then get in gear. It's much easier not to write than to write. I'm a poet. People expect verses. But this video looks good. It's got dancing nurses. I mean, getting down to it, that's the tricky thing. It's there at the top of your list. Write that sonnet that you've promised. Ping. Oh, notification to hear Vicky sing. Ding. Despite one's best intentions, there are so many interventions. Hey, that bird on the nut's got a dicky wing. Yeah, there's so much else to be done. Repoint the wall now that there's sun. Rearrange the stationery drawer. Have one more look for that apple corer. Gaze at the daisies on the lawn. It's much easier not to write than to write. Empty the pedal bin in the bathroom. Attend a meeting of poets on Zoom. Count the Christmas cards received to date. Oh, compared to last year, we're down by 8. Sort the recycling into boxes. Clear up the mess left by the foxes. Hey, David, will you come over here? My pants have got snagged in the cafeteria. Don't ask about that. Please don't ask about that. It's much easier not to write than to write. I mean, despite it being your dearest wish, but I must clean the microwave. It still smells of fish. I'm so glad to have cleared the air. Now, just one more game of solitaire, then nothing's going to stop me now. Sweat will pour from my furrowed brow. New words on the page will grow and swell. What's that I hear? The front doorbell. Maybe it's the spare part for the toaster. I'll get back to that dirty British coaster. Good Lord, it's nearly 6 o'clock. It's my turn to cook. I'll get down the walk. Now, tomorrow, the diary's completely empty. There'll be nothing to do but write. I think I'll turn in early, make sure I get a good night. So, I mean, that's the problem. The creatives today, as we're called these days, we're not called poets or whatever. We are creatives, part of the creative industry. I'm very lucky to have a garden. And of course, the garden's been a boon in this last 12 months when we weren't able to go out very far. And in mid-January this year, I noticed a flower in bloom. It was a Christmas rose. It certainly hadn't been there at Christmas. And this is what I observed at the time that I saw it. A single white hellebore flower shyly bends its head in the bed beside the path that runs next the ancient pear tree. Maybe an acknowledgement of Christmas cards still adorning our sitting room in this bleak COVID New Year. Or maybe an early hint of Easter and the chance of life regained. Like spring returns the gold and green and the rainbow of petals to come. Today, new snow lays soft on the ground, perfect camouflage for this coy beauty. So, and that's almost poetry. I'm quite proud of that. Now, all these restrictions, you know, they're starting to pall a bit, aren't they? Having to know how long 2 meters is, not being able to kiss and hug and that sort of thing. I mean, as I tack up the high street like a close-hauled sailing boat, avoiding pedestrians, I wonder how much longer will I have to cross the road, play the non-Samaritan, create a social distance. I mean, these days, I feel uneasy watching movies on TV when the actors hug and kiss. And then remember a time when I did such things as this. So, was I introduced to someone who was witty and amusing? Oh, well, never mind. One of the things that I have been able to do, of course, we are allowed to do with all these restrictions, although we're supposed to stay at home, we can have every day we can go out and have our exercise. And I've been doing a lot of walking. Every day I probably walk for an hour, 2 hours. And at my age, and especially during the winter months, about halfway around my walk, miles from anywhere, the call of nature calls very strongly. And then the hunt is on to find somewhere discreet to relieve myself. But may I give you a little bit of advice based on a personal experience? When you're desperate for a pee and seek the cover of a tree, avoid a holly bush. Trust me, they are prickly where they strictly should not be. Ouch. And yes, that's from personal experience. Now, last week in the garden, I saw my first bumblebee of the year. Now, that's always a heartening sight, isn't it? And it was nosing around in its sort of dozy way amongst the first flowers. And I'm always heartened to see bees and of any sort. I mean, imagine a world where the bees don't buzz, where the gnats don't swarm in the evening air, where blowflies no longer pollinate onions, where a dearth of wasps leads to figless trees. Before you drown that wasp in diluted jam or swat a gnat like you don't give a damn, pause to consider where we would be in a world of such deficiency, with no gentle whisper of butterfly wings, no humming chorus, no grass that sings, where you take off your headphones and you hear nothing. We need those insects that excite the plants, that spread their pollen like indulgent ants. They are the link between the sexes, an essential cog in nature's complexes. They are the date apps. They are the grinders. They are the soulmates. They are the binders that bring together what should be brought. Without their workings, we may come to naught. Now, poets have a bit of a reputation for being a miserable lot. You know, we always seek our inspiration from tragedy and disaster and blighted love affairs and all that sort of thing. And of course, one of the other reasons that poets are a bit miserable is that it's very difficult to make a living as a poet. Yes, there are about 60 poets, I guess, in this country who might make what you call a decent living, but overall it's pretty difficult. Now, one of the things that you can do, if you're lucky enough, is to get to be appointed as a poet in residence somewhere, maybe at a college or an art centre, or maybe a mortician or a hairdresser's. And a few years ago, I noticed that there was a poet who had been appointed as poet in residence to the Humberside police force. And they were with a brief to sort of help them improve their communication skills. And that rather tickled my fancy. You know, policemen on Humberside having lessons in poetry. These guardians of the law are taught how imagery can help them communicate with the man and woman in the street, how imaginative use of metaphor might halt a welfare cheat, how a well-turned phrase could enhance an eyewitness report, and how controlled simile might influence the judges in court. I mean, imagine, I was wandering lonely as a cloud in a northerly direction when all at once I came across an unlawful insurrection. A boy stood on a burning wreck whence all his mates had fled. I went to grab him round the neck, and this is what I said: you mate are nicked. Do I make myself clear? Clear as a mountain stream, clear as condensed kettle steam, clear as my conscience will be when you're locked up and they throw away the key? Detectives and constables now tackle crimes on the streets of Hull with vibrant imagery that no law-abider could find dull. They also warn their suspects of their rights under the Acts. You need not say anything, but anything you do say must not be so lax that its metre and scansion become crimes against poetry, because then we will proceed to come down upon you mightily. Sir, have you got a licence for that doggerel? Are you aware I'm a hanger and flogger who won't take kindly to illegal use of haiku or limericks about the life of a Yorkshire tyke whose habits in the bathroom are impossibly explicit and whose preference of powders is most certainly illicit? And we will not tolerate that most heinous of crimes, a total disregard of internal rhymes. We have reason to believe that you're a meter cheater, playing with the rhythms to make your meter sweeter, but you do it at the cost of the classic forms of verse. And that's a misdemeanor or something rather worse. Station sergeants have now realised the effect of selective repetition, like hello, 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 and other similar renditions, and also the benefit of the roundel and the clerry-heeled, how well-writ sonnet can create a very merry crew, but free verse not encouraged. It leads to long hair, woolly thinking, sloppy procedure, and headlines in the local media. Wrongly accused, Grimsby fish gutter says, "How right I know she were police and not a nutter. There were no rhyme or reason to my unfair detention, and the words used to caution me had no rhythmic dimension." I mean, you know where you are with the rhyming quatrain, but this free form they're using just does in my brain. I mean, I may work all day deep in adults' intestines, but I question whether this money's been worth the investing. I mean, in my youth, local Bobby used to clip you around the ear, send you home with a couplet your mother had to hear. You didn't put bangers in Vicar's pants again, and you learned to respect a cautionary refrain. Policemen on Humberside are having lessons in poetry, but they'll never be like Kerouac and the Beat Generation. Well, thank you. That's my lot for this half of the show, and I'm really glad that to introduce the wonderful, idiosyncratic Dave Mann. Thanks a lot.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yay! The host and muted everyone, so there was applause.
The host has power.
David.
Brilliant.
Oh. I don't know. Are we on mute? No.
Excellent.
We're not muted.
That's it. Have you unmuted yourself?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there we go.
First thing Beth said was, whatever you do, remember to unmute yourself, and that's the first thing I've forgotten. So yes, good evening, children. Thank you for coming along. I know it's been a long journey for you, but I hope you'll find it's worthwhile. You'll notice almost immediately from the billing that there's one Beth and two Daves. Now, this is the thing with rats. We're only never very far away from a rat, and I'm afraid you're never far away from a Dave. 'Cause you're never far away from a Dave. No, you're never far away from a Dave. Just look out your window and wave. 'Cause you're never far away from a Dave. Yeah, it's true what they say about rats. Those are incontrovertible facts. But I've another statistic, and that's you're never far away from a Dave. Well, off to Africa, Mr. Stanley was sent on a mission both daring and brave. Dr. Livingstone, I presume? He said, yeah, but you can call me Dave. 'Cause you're never far away from a Dave. No, you're never far away from a Dave. From Burundi all the way to Belgrade. No, you're never far away from a Dave. Well, in the Bible, I hear that it's written that Goliath went to his grave. Well, who threw that stone was the last words he said. Well, some little fella called Dave. Well, there's Beckham and Bowie and Hasselhoff and Attenborough, everyone's fave. He was the best Doctor Who and the drummer in Nirvana. You're never far away from a Dave. 'Cause you're never far away from a Dave. No, you're never far away from a Dave. From the bearded to the clean shaved. No, you're never far away from a Dave. Well, if you're thinking of having a child and an original name is what you crave, well, call him Beth or John, Paul, George or Ringo. Just don't call the poor bugger Dave. 'Cause you're never far away from a Dave. No, you're never far away from a Dave. From the restaurant to the rave. No, you're never far away from a Dave. No, you're never far away from a Dave. So, thing is, I know I'm a Dave, you know, I'm okay being a Dave, but sometimes I'd like to be something else. Sometimes I wish I was a witch, 'cause I'd be such a bitch, 'cause I would cast a nasty spell on you. I'd turn you into a frog, or maybe Jacob Rees-Mogg, or some other ghastly creature in a zoo. Well, you would soon see my sick sense of humour when I turn Matt Hancock into a Satsuma. I wish I was a witch. I'd be such a bitch as you witness all the wicked I could do. Oh, I wish I was a witch. I could make you itch with a toil and trouble, no, hubble bubble, toil and trouble curse. Don't burn me at the stake. No, that's not right, is it? Don't burn me at the stake, that is right, 'cause that would simply make me mad and your situation worse. 'Cause I'd get my own back on that Boris Johnson. I'd turn his ex-wife into Charles Bronson. Oh, I wish I was a witch. I'd be such a bitch, the worst witch in the whole damn universe. Oh, I wish I was a witch, 'cause I could make you rich, but I could make you poor as well. I'd take those millionaires and ruin all their shares, so Big Issue would be all that you could sell. I would get those bankers and stand them in a line, and then I'd stick my broomstick where the sun don't shine. I wish I was a witch. Yeah, I'd be such a bitch, 'cause I'd turn your Halloween into a hell. Yes, I'd turn your Halloween into a hell and leave behind a most unpleasant smell. Yeah. So, I don't do many protest songs, but this is the only one I do. Now, I know we're collecting for a charity tonight, and that's great. It's an important one, and mental health is a big deal, and I still don't think it gets enough attention. Unfortunately, my cause, I haven't really set up a charity, because as far as I know, I'm the only person that kind of feels strongly about it. So it's about the oppression of supermarket trolleys, and what a hard time they have. Here's a song about one of them. I'm Wally, and I'm a trolley in Tesco's. I get pushed around all day. I get filled up with CDs, DVDs, and rice and peas, and of course a bottle of value Beaujolais. Well, the pushers in Tesco's, they push and push. They just don't know, I've got the words wrong again, how it feels to be filled up with CDs, DVDs, and everything else. Life is hard for a basket on four wheels, especially when you've forgotten the words. I'm Wally, the trolley, I get pushed around all day. I'm Wally, I'm a trolley, no work, all work, no rest and no play. Well, some of my best friends are baskets, and you'll never hear them complain, because they get carried everywhere with less than 8 items in, and they don't have to go out in the rain. And here's a verse you've heard before. The pushers in Tesco's, they push and push. They just don't know how it feels to be filled up with CDs and Boba, you know the other bit. Yeah, 'cause life is hard for a basket on four wheels. I'm Wally, the trolley, I get pushed around all day. I'm Wally, I'm a trolley, all work, no rest, no play. Well, Wally, he was the bravest trolley of them all. He just wanted his liberty. So he rallied all his trolley troops with this battle cry, buy one, set one free. So one day soon we will fight back, and life for you won't be so jolly. Well, you've heard of the day of the Triffids. Prepare for the day of the trolleys. I'm Wally, the trolley, I get pushed around all day. I'm Wally, I'm a trolley, all work, no rest, no play. Thank you very much indeed. Okay. Thank you, one person. That's lovely. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're now going to have an interval where you can go and get ice creams and anything else you want to do. And if I'm really smart and clever, I'm going to share my screen and you're going to go, that's cool.
We'll all applaud you now, Dave, while you're sharing your screen. I think it's a bit slow to unmute everyone, that's all. So I'm with you on the whole. I've got the words in front of me, Dave, and I still get them wrong. Plus, I'm like Les Dawson, but I do it by accident. So
yeah, I know. The funny is, that's the song that I've sung the most in my life, and tonight,
no, it's gorgeous.
Anyway,
so we're going to take an interval. Yeah, sorry, Dave, you carry on.
10 minutes or so. Yeah, thanks, Beth. Okay, catch you later.
Yeah, this is madness trying to host it as well. Madness, I tell you, madness. Welcome back, everyone. I knew you'd all fallen in love with the Daves, and that is why I'm just so happy to be here with them. And I'm going to give you a song now. This is called Waiting for the Cows to Come Home. In homeschooling this week, we were learning about the Amazon rainforest and how much the cows were ruining it. But, you know, we're vegetarians, so it's not us. Anyway, this is about waiting the cows to come home, but not because we want them for their meat. Waiting for an apology for your shockingly poor treatment of me. Waiting till the cows come home. Guess you'll be with them wherever they roam. What good will it do to hold on to you? You had no intention of seeing this through. The worse you feel, the further you run. What are you teaching your daughter and son? Waiting till the cows come home. Guess you'll be with them wherever they roam. And I'll be needing to carry on, 'cause I think our chance has gone. I have respect for myself, but I failed to teach you. That's the reason this song is so blue. The ones before you said they were fools. Now you've joined their bandit of mules. Waiting till the cows come home. Guess you'll be with them wherever they roam. And I'll be needing to carry on, 'cause I think our chance has gone. Praying for you to turn out good, for you to do what you know you should. Longing for frogs to turn to men. Wish I knew what was in your plan. Waiting till the cows come home. Guess you'll be with them wherever they roam. And I'll be needing to carry on, 'cause I think I should move on. I should let my life move on, or I could let myself move on. Till the cows come home. I wonder if the person I wrote this song about. Can't hear this. I wrote this the other week. This is called Lockdown Blues, Any Day, Any Key. And I bet you can't guess what on earth it's about. Woke up this morning, I could feel it in the air. It's a day of the week, I might just wash my hair. Is it a bin day or a Monday? What a year! Is it my birthday? Oh, why do I care? Got me the lockdown blues. Any day, any key. The lockdown blues. That's you and that's me. Woke up this morning, I could feel it in my bones. It's a day of the week, I put my tracksuit on. Got me the lockdown blues. Any day, any key. The lockdown blues. That's you and that's me. Looked out this morning, saw the Amazon dude. What else did I order? I hope it was food. Got me the lockdown blues. Any day, any key. The lockdown blues. That's you and that's me. Logged on this morning to hear all the news. It seems there's a virus. Well, that adds to my blues. Got me the lockdown blues. Any day, any key. The lockdown blues. That's you and that's me. Yeah, did you get the gist of that? There's a locky down thing, but you know what it's all about. One more song from me, and I literally wrote this to you 3 days ago, so you are the first to hear it. Hooray! This one is called Birdsong. There aren't specific birds in it, so don't get excited thinking, oh, it's all about nature and I shall hear her speak about, singing about the blackbird and all that jazz. No, you won't. It's just inspired by, I am actually really enjoying all the lovely birdsong lately, and myself and my children would just stop and sometimes go, what's that? And my youngest will go, shh, I want to listen to the birds. And it's just a lovely thing, so I've called it Birdsong. Okay, here we go. longing to say hello. There must be good around us. There must be good around us. The sun comes up and the birds keep singing their song. There must be good around us. There must be good around us. The sun comes up and the birds keep singing their song. And the ice it thaws and the flowers bloom and the world it turns all too soon. I know there's good around us. I know there's good around us. The sun comes up and the birds keep singing their song. The sun comes up and the birds keep singing their sweet, sweet, sweet song.
Okay, please unmute and show your appreciation for the wonderful Beth Ford.
That's it. Do it manually. That's me. Thank you very much. That's all from me, and I'm going to welcome the dearest man who makes me smile and fills my heart with joy, the lovely Dave Mann. Welcome back on stage. Thank you.
Is it me or is it David?
Oh no, it's David. Oh, don't that. It was going too well.
How many Daves?
You spoke to me and I thought, oh, it's you. Oh. Is he crying? No, he's not crying. Good. David C. Johnson. I didn't mean to leave you out. I do hope you know this.
Yeah, well, I hoped that I was a lovely man, but obviously not.
You are a lovely man. You are with witty words and very modest and rather wonderful and my favourite poet, and I'm not just saying that.
Right.
I'm gonna mute.
The ventriloquist act. Yeah. Right. Okay. Do you want me to do something?
Yes, please.
All right. I've got you on my screen now. Should I be having you full view?
That's all right. I can see you, Dave.
Okay. Good. Now, it's actually very nice to be back. Normally, I'm never invited back to a venue or an event for about 10 years has passed. But I mean, this has been a very quick return, and it's delightful. One of the things about all this COVID and the last 12 months, etc., and people having to stay at home, there's been a lot of talk and aspirations that they're going to sort their house out. They're going to get rid of stuff, do a spring cleaning, all that sort of thing. And quite often you hear that people haven't actually managed it. I believe there are sort of people who might be able to come and help you. I mean, I've heard a lot of muttering about something called decluttering, a service for people materially overwhelmed. Someone who will come to take over the helm and sort through your crowded shelves and closets. A person who will spend a day and then tell you what to throw away, including that collection of tatty beer-stained mats, the dozen or so logoed outdated baseball caps that you haven't worn since 1988. And what about that plastic bag full of silver plate fish knives and forks from your auntie's place that has sat in the bedroom since the year of grace? How many Hawaiian shirts do you really need? And will you ever utilize those bolts of Harris tweed? Look around, assess the mess of life's accumulation, the excess of objects, the overpopulation of cupboards and corners and basement and loft. Isn't it time you pensioned off all that just sits gathering dust and get on top of this hoarding lust? Now, I wrote this surrounded by boxes of texts, all unsold, a container of obsolete telephone handsets, a desk piled high with paper and pens. No, don't scrutinize me through a microscope lens. Advice is cheap. Well, I give it for free, but it's hard to apply when it comes to me. Anyway, that's I don't know whether you've all managed to do a bit of decluttering in this year of pandemic. Now, I've talked a lot about the garden, and of course we've got lots of sign of spring here at the moment, and that gives us all a lot of hope. And when I see this, all these signs of spring, the buds on the trees, etc., I'm thinking forward to the summer, where they'll all burst forth into flower, and then of course the autumn, where we get some of nature's bounty that we can pick. And of course the garden is a lovesome thing, as a poet I think once said. It wasn't me. But it can also be a source of sadness as well. Each year, the highest apples on the oldest tree tantalize me. Scarlet jackets sparkling in the autumn sun, gems every one, out of reach from wobbling ladder or by telescopic picker, my days of climbing fruit trees well lost and gone. This tree, a king of pippins, juicy, crisp and tart, gladdens my heart each year when I first spy that stalk-fast king of kings, aloof, dangling, unreachable, untouchable, unsullied and impregnable. Only ripening will see this apple tumbling. Nothing will soften its landing onto the mown grass. It will be past perfection, its first bruising brooking no delay of its decay. And yet this year I have plucked the king undamaged, picked that perfect thing. And yet my mood, it's sad. This is not a happy day, for the tree that bore this prize apple stands no more. It's gone before, weighed down with pippins massed on every twig and bough. Its time was now. No warning, just a whip-like sound as it arced and fell toward the ground. Its main root snapped through, its canopy brought low. Apple branches resting on our garden table. At last I'm able to clasp and to harvest the king and its consorts, a fruity onslaught upon our tansied flower beds, now gathered up orange and red in bags and boxes that fill the house like a port is crammed with fishing boats once the storm is over. I'm not in clover, for this nature's bounty, it's overwhelming me. Suddenly 2,000 apples stare at me. It's as if they're daring me to use them up, every one. Despairingly, I start to peel, to slice, to boil, to juice, my insides loose from a diet of pippins, cored and eaten raw. I must do more. I text friends to come and collect. Those that do often select one or two. They resist the bags crowding out the floor. Dissect me now. See how much the apples take up of my body's makeup. I am half man, half pippin, apple to the core. And yet I can't ignore the fact that boxes full still loiter each time I reconnoiter those darkened spaces hid behind each downstairs door. So that was a little tragedy that really did happen in our garden a few years ago. And we've planted some more apple trees since then. Now, back in June last year, there was the tragic shooting of George Floyd in the United States, and which re-energized, if you like, the Black Lives Movement. And there were demonstrations all over the world. And in Bristol, there was one that became relatively notorious, well known, which was centered around the statue of Edward Colston, slave owner, slave trader. And when it resulted in the statue going for being dropped in the harbour and being rescued by the council the next day. And I think a friend of mine who had been in exile from Bristol, got retired to somewhere quieter, more rural, felt a bit of a pang of nostalgia for sort of activities that go on in Bristol. And he contacted me and commissioned me to write a poem about Bristol, celebrating Bristol. And I took this and I came up with a poem about the Colston statue. In fact, it's from the point of view of the Colston statue on that day. It was only a quick dip, no time to doff my coat and stole, no points for style in the dive. It was more of a victory roll. I'd never seen the dock from below its murky surface sheen, its bottom muddy like my ships that the tide washed clean on their way to the Channel and Africa's shore, loaded to the gunwales with goods to buy more cargo of misery and despair. But what wealth they brought me, what lifestyle so fair, money beyond avarice's dreams. Oh, out of my hearing the captive screams. Parts, the city of people from diverse parts, the city of Banksy and Massive Attack, the city of Brunel and railway tracks. I know Bristol's not perfect by any means, but as a place to live, it gets in your genes, and should you leave it for good, I'm sure that you'll find that Bristol goes with you forever in mind. Now, so that's about that. Now, a few years ago, I had an idea for a poem. I thought it'd be quite amusing. I had this sort of concept of nude angling. I thought the combination of things would be, could be amusing, but I thought I'd better just check on the internet to see that no one else has had the idea. And I was astounded by how many references I came up with. And there was a website in particular called Health and Efficiency, which featured a gallery of photographs of nude anglers displaying their catches. I had no idea there were so many blonde, young, female anglers in the world. And of course, there were also a lot of them, and they were displaying their fish, which looked as if they were gawping at them open-mouthed. And there were, of course, a lot of fit, buff young men as well, displaying their conger eels. At least, I think they were conger eels. And then, of course, there was Gunter and his pollocks. Well, as it happened, nothing much came of that poem, because sometimes it's a funny idea, but actually the funny idea is a one-liner, really. But at about the same time as I had that idea, I noticed a few comments from people who were saying they thought my poetry was a little superficial, that I wasn't prepared to peel back the veneer of civilization to reveal the roiling mass of corruption underneath. And I thought, well, I was a bit miffed, really, because I feel that I am deeply superficial. And so I thought, I'll show them. I'll write a poem about the interconnectedness of everything. But I think before I start this poem, I will, like they do on the films now, on the television, warn you that there are scenes of nudity. There's an implied reference to a sex act, and there may be one word that some people could find offensive. Now, normally, I wouldn't... I seem to be lost.
We can hear you, but your video is gone.
Anyway, never mind.
Yeah.
So as I say, I wouldn't normally give a warning like this if it was just a normal poetry audience, because of course they're all roughy toughies and things, but I believe there are quite a lot of people who are folk club clientele, and I'm told they're very sensitive sort of people, and they get absolutely shocked by vulgar, low humour and any reference to sex, and they start to squirm in their seats uncomfortably. But anyway, so brace yourself. This is the interconnectedness of everything. It's funny how one thing leads to another, how you can wake up in hospital and start to remember an unlikely sequence of chances that led to your journey of blue flashing lights in a convoy of white ambulances. I mean, take me, for example. I don't wear anything in bed. Well, nothing wrong with that, you might think, but here's where my nighttime naturism led. You see, if you're wearing nothing in bed, when you get up, you're nude, naked, bare, the kind of state that encourages stares from neighbours with a predilection for magnified morning tackle inspection via telescopes purchased for viewing birds, but now redeployed, as I've just inferred. And so I always put on a dressing gown to try and avoid notorious renown. And in the morning, when so tired, I often feel quite inspired to do a little housework. And so I start to vacuum the hall, the stairs, the living room. The machine, it's one of those powerful contraptions with sinuous piping and strong sucking action. Now, I know I should have used the crevice tool to clean out the crumbs in the piano stool. It's something I always do as a rule, But that morning, I couldn't be bothered, you see. My bias for sloth got the better of me because all I did was remove the brush head, open the lid and shove the tube in instead. Now, to do this job well, get the right angle, I bent my knees and let my parts freely dangle. Then the doorbell rung and I swung, still clutching the tube, which by now is exceedingly close to my pubes, a proximity of which I was quite unaware until I felt this enormous yank that pulled at my manhood like some monstrous wank. It was a feeling quite unlike any I'd felt before. Well, apart from... Anyway, so there I was, standing there, fused to the vacuum cleaner, with a look on my face, which I'm sure betrayed the truth about my demeanour, with my eyeball stinging, the doorbell ringing, in a state of indecision. Of course, I should have turned the vacuum off as my number one decision, but somehow I chose to answer the door with the tubing still clamped to my jewels and said, "Yes, can I help you?" in a voice so strained it sounded like Brian Sewell's. "Do you believe in the Lord?" my visitor asked, before she noticed and let out a gasp of, "Oh, the devil's got hold of you," and collapsed on the path. And it was then that my neighbour, with his focused eyeglass, toppled out of his window and onto his arse. And it seems that soon after, I passed out from the effects of overextension and woke up next morning in the casualty ward with my neighbour and the visiting Christian. It's funny how one thing leads to another. Thank you. That's my lot today. I don't know what happened to my picture. I normally do that with a lot of hand gestures and graphic illustration, but I can't.
We're here. We're with you.
Amazing.
Please, don't worry.
I hope all you folk people have survived that.
Well, you say that about us folkies being delicate, but we're probably about to. Ruth will definitely ask a request of Dave Mann to sing a particular song. Just you wait. Just you wait.
I don't do requests.
Oh no, it's not. It's all right. It's not Brian Adams.
I'm word perfect tonight.
Well, you would be with that one, Dave.
Okay, Dave Mann, I've already introduced you, so I'm not going to do it again.
Thank you. Thanks, Beth. Thanks, David, as well.
Okay, make sure you unmute yourself. There we go.
Right, yeah. Thanks, Beth. Thanks, David, as well. That was awesome. Okay, so Beth sang a lovely song about birds, and David did some lovely poems alluding to spring. And this is a little song about. It's quite a sad song, really, about a guy who also loved birds, and he bought a bird table and he set it all up in his garden, and he spent a fortune on this lovely bird table, and he got all the gear, all the feeders and everything, but nothing happened. He didn't get any visitors, and he sat and waited day after day, and nothing happened. So in the end, he just wrote this very sad song. It's called "The Tits Won't Touch My Fat Balls." Oh, the tits won't touch my fat balls. Blackbirds hate my nuts. You'd think that all I left them was an ashtray full of butts. Well, they take the birds. I can't pull the birds no more. My bird table's bereft. I can't pull the birds no more, 'cause all the birds have left. Well, only rats and murderous cats will come into my garden. My bird table's as popular as Osama bin Laden. Well, flocks of feeding feathered friends are only in my dreams. The tits won't touch my fat balls. Blackbirds hate my nuts, it seems. Well, sometimes you will see some soaring seagulls up above about, but only on a Wednesday when I put the rubbish out. I even went on Twitter, sent a load of tweets. Oh, why can't I attract the birds with all my tasty treats? The tits won't touch my fat balls. The wrens reject my seed. My fat balls and my nuts are not what birds around here need. I saw a robin on the fence just the other day. Then he saw my fat balls, then he flew away. Well, I hear there is a bigger table further down the street, no doubt with fatter fat balls and nicer things to eat. Well, I can't pull the birds no more, they just don't want to know. Well, I can't pull the birds no more, not even some old crow. Oh, the tits won't touch my fat balls or any kind of food. And then I had a bright idea that was to lift my mood. There is a happy ending to this fairy tale. I crushed my nuts and fat balls and now have homemade granola for sale. Okay, here's a dramatic song. What have I got in my heart? What have I got in my head? What have I got in my soul? But more importantly, what have I got in my fridge? I got a liquidized lettuce in that tray in the bottom. I got a half-eaten sausage that I've clearly forgotten. I got jars of things that I've only ever opened once, and something that may have been, but not necessarily, yogurt. There are things in my fridge that I know that only the bravest should go. And don't look at that sell-by date. I'm absolutely certain that it's already late. There's a couple of beers in the fridge I see. They won't be there long, I guarantee. And I hate those plain containers just because I simply can't see what it was. Well, what's in that tub? I have no clue. On that baked bean tin there's a nice furry blue. And I'm sure in the door there are items that have been there since well before Christmas. But there are things in my fridge that quite possibly biology students might like to see. Maybe a new life form invented by me. But please, 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 don't touch the milk. But don't judge me for what's in my fridge, it's not who I am. Yes, I know the butter is smeared with Marmite and jam. But I grab a cold beer and shut the fridge door up tight, 'cause I'm gonna have a takeaway tonight. He's a rider in the night, he's a rider in the rain. He's a rider in the sun and wind, or in a hurricane. He's riding down your street and up your avenue. He is the rider from Deliveroo. Well, he knows where you live, he knows your address, and he's on his way to your house from Pizza Express, delivering margaritas and a homemade tiramisu. He is the rider from Deliveroo. You can do that bit at home if you want, children. Well, you just get on your mobile phone and tell them what you want, 'cause you're too bloody lazy to go to the restaurants. You don't have to get up off your butts to get your meal for two. Leave that to the rider from Deliveroo. Very good, yes. Well, once you've placed your order and you've paid them what they're owed, you see the poor bloke peddling up your road. On minimum wage in the pouring rain, he's on his way to you. Here's the rider from Deliveroo. Very good, I can see you doing it. Nice. But one night, the pizza that you ordered didn't arrive. And you heard the wailing of an ambulance outside. A rider had come off his bike. He was on his way to you. It was the rider from Deliveroo. Well, about 6 weeks later, on an evening cold and grey, you decided to take a walk to get your own takeaway. You heard the ghostly sound of a bicycle bell. Sound effect, ding, ding, ding. As if it was following you. It was the ghost rider from Deliveroo. Big one. Ah-ooh. He's a rider in the night. He's a rider in the rain. He's a rider in the sun and wind, or in a hurricane. He's riding down your street and right up your avenue. He is the rider from Deliveroo. Two more. Big finish. Thank you very much. Please unmute your phones and say your big appreciation for the wonderful David Johnston and the amazing Beth Ford for loading this. And a big hand of applause for you guys for coming along. Awesome.
And for Dave Mann.
Thank you.
Please drive carefully home. We've got a late because we're running a bit late.
We're running a bit late. We got time for one little video song?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. This will help, get your cocoa and have a little sleep. So I just need to do a technical thing here.
If I can mend your broken hearts right now, if I could put my arms around you, how I'd show you I am with you in this darkest hour. And we will see brighter days. Candles burning bright, better days are in our sight. Ooh, see the light and it's coming, people, so hold on. There will be brighter. There will be brighter. Will be brighter days. Hold on, I'll keep a candle burning. We'll keep our good thoughts turning. I'll keep a candle burning. We'll keep our good thoughts turning. We'll be brighter days. Keep a candle burning. We'll keep our good thoughts turning. I'll keep a candle burning. We'll keep our good thoughts turning. I'll keep a candle burning. We'll keep our good thoughts turning. I'll keep a candle burning. We'll keep our good thoughts turning.